It was so intense.
We were doing all the positions. I was on hands and knees, doing slow dancing, all of it.
I'm squeezing butt.
Yep, he was picking
I'm
up.
rocking.
Poop. So, since I have now given birth at a hospital, a birthing center, and at home in my tub, people are always asking about the birth stories. And Makoa has been here for almost 3 months now. I can't keep track anymore. He's growing. But we wanted to share our birth stories, starting with Aluna's. So yeah, I thought it'd be fun to share both perspectives.
Both of ours, both from all three experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also the philosophy for us and like my birth wish was really just to try to do everything completely natural and labor at home as long as possible, no inductions or anything. So that was my wish with Aluna, and preparing for her birth, like we took a birthing
Classes, yep.
We had an OBGYN that was like rated one of the top in the nation.
You did meditations every night.
Every night.
You were super dialed.
Super dialed.
Every night I'm like, I walk in, hold on.
I was just doing
right back. She's
So with Aluna, birth was at a hospital with OBGYN. She did have the lowest C-section rate in the country, so that I was really confident in that. And I know that a lot of people... Makoa wants to be known. We'll bring him up here. I knew that she would definitely advocate for me, or at least
to do it as natural as possible.
Yes, to do it as natural as possible.
And not intervene.
Exactly.
Like at the slightest little
hiccup. We did decide to have a doula, which is who we took the class from. Or we took the class, then decided that we wanted her to be our doula.
Yeah, it was her class. So we just...
we were like, you know what, we know her, and that's who our OBGYN suggested we use.
Correct, yep.
And so we felt like, okay, this is great because we knew that she would be confident in working with her together. Yeah, we just taken like
eight classes or 8 weeks of class or something. Yeah, so we really knew her.
So the preparation for that was like, they taught us how to do different positions during labor, and then positions that you can help me with and whatnot. So I felt really prepared.
I felt prepared too.
You felt prepared,
yeah. It's like I got a list of things.
Everything.
Boom, this happens right away. All right, I know that I need to get this bag packed or whatever. I feel like maybe it was just because it was our first time.
I had a list. A Google Note, or not a Google, an Apple Note that said like what you need to do, along with like a printed worksheet. Yeah. And like everything.
Tata's job.
Yeah. So and I think I had my bag packed like a month before.
Oh, at least a month.
Yeah. So that was the first.
Just in case.
The first, you just never know.
Yeah, the first one I feel like just so
much
research
unknown.
Everything.
Yes.
And we gotta make sure that everything is buttoned up and exact route to the hospital. Yeah. So.
And there's so much unknown. You really just don't know anything. And I thought that she was gonna be early. Which, by the way, the average first-time mom gives birth 40 weeks and 5 days. So 5 days late.
Almost a week.
Almost a week late. That's the average. So most women go even past that. So I can't believe that I thought she was going to be early. We just all thought. I think people just do because your body is just changing so much and you just feel like, oh my gosh.
I feel like it's about to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
But, so with Aluna, I remember.
That I know.
Yeah, whatever. So with Aluna, I ended up having my mucus plug come out in the toilet. And I remember texting you, and you were with Saquon, I think, training him.
Yeah, I was working at UCLA.
Yeah, so I was like, I think I'm going to be in labor soon.
Yeah.
So I remember putting my stew in the Instant Pot and like had it ready to go, and then
bags are already been packed.
Everything's ready.
Yeah, we're down. Water, hydration, water jugs.
Everything, filled up. No, we were doing a lot of coconut water then. I remember giving us coconut water. We brought like a cooler. But so I started getting contractions, like early labor contractions. Started feeling really intense. We text the doula to let her know. She came over because it was starting to get pretty intense. Like the doula comes pretty early because they, they help you labor at home as long as possible before you go to the hospital.
Yep.
But then it started getting so intense, like where I thought that I was like going to push. And like, again, I had no idea what any of this is supposed to feel like. But when we decided that it was time to go to the hospital, which was so intense, like I was getting, my contractions were pretty close. I felt like So we thought that I was getting closer.
Correct.
So we went to the hospital.
The
math 411. Yeah. So 4 minutes apart, 1 minute long for 1 hour is what 411 stands for. So anyway, the doula was like, okay, I guess we should go. Do you feel like you need to push? So when we get there, they actually told me that I was having back labor.
Correct.
Which means the baby is sunny side up. Yeah. She was looking out. So every time I got a contraction, her head was bashing.
Your cervix.
Oh my gosh, because I was like in pain, yeah. And I did not want an epidural at all. I was like, no epidural. And so it was pretty crazy. Like we got in at like crazy. 3 a.m. on Friday.
Yeah, it was insane.
Saturday morning, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Crazy, like just going through it. Like
it was so intense.
We were doing all the positions. I was on hands and knees, doing slow dancing, all of it.
I'm squeezing butt.
Yeah, he was picking
I'm
up
rocking.
poop. Yeah. Nick picked up my poop.
Picked up poop.
Even the doula was like, I've never seen anyone do that before.
Well, do what you gotta do.
Yeah. My water broke at some point in the toilet. I remember that. I remember throwing up multiple times.
Yeah.
It was just everything that you would hear in a birth. I was kind of going through it. But things were progressing pretty fast after my water broke. Like I remember my water broke and then like I went from 4 centimeters all of a sudden to 8. Mm-hmm. But then 10 centimeters dilated is where you want to be. Yeah. But then I hit a wall at 8. And it was just like...
And it was like you thought you were supposed to be pushing or whatever. Or what you were bearing down.
I was bearing down because I was in so much pain because back labor is very, very painful.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't think that I just to go ahead a little bit, just for anyone that is afraid of back labor, I wish that I would have done more was like the inversions and more like
different positions,
in my pregnancy.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
In my pregnancy, like doing inversions and stuff like towards the end, and that's where I feel like my midwifery care kind of like helped later on, but we'll get into that. It stalled out like 8, and then eventually they kept doing checks, and they were like, "Well, it's not much is happening." But I remember having a nurse that was so amazing. She said she gave birth at home, so I remember like feeling I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my nurse. Like this is my nurse. Like she's got my back."
Yeah.
So she just really helped me throughout the whole thing, but it was stalled. Like I completely stalled, and then my doctor called me the next. I can't even remember what it was. It was like that evening of Saturday. It was almost 24 hours at that point, I think. Yeah. It was like late. She was like, look, like you are like swelling now. Like everyone's saying your cervix is swelled. I can either do a C-section on you right now and deliver the baby, which I know you don't want, or we could
give you some Benadryl,
get the swelling to go down.
See if you can take a nap for an hour or 2.
Yep.
And maybe the swelling will go down.
But she was like, you have to relax though.
Yeah, but you have to relax. You can't keep bearing down like you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in order for me to do that, I had to get an epidural.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I had to get the epidural, and that's when I surrendered because I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But I did it, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I got the epidural.
Yeah, because this had to be at least 30 or 35 hours into it.
We were pretty far in.
Yeah. So you got that, and then you did take a nap. I feel
long
like for 2 or 3 hours.
But what was wild for me is like for anyone that's like wondering about the epidural, some women like I know like plenty of women that just get the epidural after they get get dilated or they start getting contractions, and they were like, all right, cool, we're good. But like I got it, and I got to sleep and everything, but the only thing I did not like was I couldn't feel my legs.
Yeah, so it was hard for you to push. You were like saying that at the
hard for me to push.
Whenever you got to pushing, it was like hard for you to push.
But even like turning, I remember she physically had to move my legs side to side, move the baby.
Yeah.
But when it was time to push, I pushed for like a long time.
Yeah, because I feel like you slept for like 2 or 3 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And then whenever you woke up, they checked you again, and the Benadryl had actually worked a little bit. Like the swelling was down just a touch, or like just enough, I guess, to be confident that you could continue without like major intervene.
Yeah. Then I pushed.
Then you pushed, but you pushed for a few hours.
I pushed for a few hours. It was intense.
Yeah.
Her head got stuck.
What was it? 42 hours total?
I think it was 41. Yeah.
41 hours.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long one.
And then Aluna, they tried the vacuum.
Yep.
They tried the OB tried to use the vacuum to get Aluna to come out at one point, and it kept slipping off because she had so much hair.
So much hair.
Yeah, like jet black, so much hair. But then she had a skull fracture potentially from that, so she had to.
It was really intense.
Yeah.
It was such an intense thing. But you know what? I feel like we just stayed really calm throughout everything as much as we could. Baby wants a nursing break. We just really tried to stay calm as much as we could. And it was challenging, but it really, after she finally was there, like I have this video that a nurse just happened to capture right when she got here, and it was just such an incredible feeling. Like I watched the video almost, like I would say for sure on her birthday, but every time I watch it, it's just such an incredible feeling to relive, because I mean it was so rewarding at that point. I was happy that I eventually got to push her out, but I know that not every woman has that choice, or every doctor will give someone that choice, but I'm happy that I
very grateful
that. So my OB, I will say, if you are passionate about a hospital birth, like find an OB that really aligns with what you want, and maybe look up the reviews, talk to other people, and just have an understanding of the way they'll do things, because I felt like she was going to advocate for me so much, because she 100%. Knew that I was really passionate about not getting a C-section, and obviously with her low C-section rate, great. But I think there's a lot of women that just are like, you know what, just however we need to get the baby out is fine, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But for me, I was really passionate about doing it as natural as possible. Yep. So when we moved to Texas and I got pregnant with Osa, I couldn't find a doctor that I really liked. We found one, but just vibes were off. Yeah,
vibes were off, and we ended up actually hearing our vibes were off, so we decided to be done with her. But then we ended up hearing later on from multiple people that they had horrible experiences.
Horrible experiences. So trust your gut on that too.
Yeah. So that was good that we kind of instinctually.
Yeah, I ended up switching at 20 weeks. We were already about to do the anatomy scan with that doctor. Yeah. Like I remember the next appointment was like, oh yeah, bring your little USB drive. We'll take all the pictures and get everything. And I was like so excited, but also was like not. My gut was just telling me. But I happened to meet a girl at a baby shower. She was a photographer. And I heard someone say, oh, good luck with her water birth. And she was pregnant. And I was like, oh, you're doing a water birth? Like, where are you doing that? Because I had no idea about birthing centers. Didn't know anything. Yeah. And so whenever I started asking her about it, she told me about a birthing center here in Fort Worth. And, I looked into it, did a tour. I did
20
a tour
minutes away,
via like Zoom call or something. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what, I just love this.
See it,
because then I learned about midwifery care and like how you get involved with them more, like they spend more time with you instead of just like waiting for the doctor and seeing them for only 10 minutes. Yeah. They spend like at least half hour with you, that you see them a lot. Yeah. And you rotated through the like collective of midwives. So you came with me for some of the sessions. Yeah. Got to meet all the midwives.
Yeah, it was cool. It was just like a more intimate, such a more intimate experience and just setting, because like we said, we didn't really have a great experience with the lady that we had in Los Angeles, the OB.
She was amazing.
She was amazing. And then we got here, and it was like,
we couldn't find anybody, too.
Yeah, we couldn't really find anybody, but then we got to this, and we were like, oh, this is a completely different experience. Yeah. And again, just like more intimate, more, I guess, maybe relationship-based, because you do spend a lot more time with them, so you get to know them a little better. And it was, I feel like right then and there.
I felt like no question was stupid.
And then even whenever you went and toured the place in person for the first time, it's like, it's just a nice looking,
you just feel like you're like,
damn, home. It feels like your house.
And I ended up picking a room that looks similar to our room. It was actually called Emerald, which our room, if you've seen it on social media, it's painted emerald. So I wanted something that felt like home. So I met all the different midwives. There's one that in particular that I spent a lot of time with, Rachel. Yep. And she was the one that actually ended up being at my birth, but the birth was incredible. I feel like I started getting minor contractions that I wasn't really sure. I did a sweep. I did a membrane sweep with one of the midwives, Anissa, and she did the sweep, and then
it started to
2 days before. 2 days before my due date. Progressed early. You were just outside talking to the neighbors. I started reviewing my pelvic floor therapy videos that my PT gave me that were like about the breathing, because you literally sound like a cow. You go like just to do that. So I was doing all that, practicing all that, because I was like, it was the first time I really knew about that. Yeah. I remember our doula Madeline in LA told me about it, but the way the pelvic floor explained it to me,
it just clicked with you.
It clicked.
That happens.
So it happens. But anyway, I got my contractions are probably early, 7 p.m. or so. Yeah. Then we went to sleep.
Yeah, you actually fell asleep.
I'm mixing it with Makoa's now because it's so similar.
No, I think you actually did fall asleep for a couple hours.
Yeah, and then I woke up.
And then you woke up, I want to say it was 10 maybe, or 11. Yeah. And then you woke up and it started to progress a little bit. And then, so I called the midwife. And
she was like, are you sure? And you were like, yeah, she sounds like a cow back there.
Yeah. So then I just loaded the car up.
Yeah, I remember I had to do some contractions in the car, or no, on the car.
On the car prior to leaving the house.
Yep, got in the car. Contractions while we were driving. Nick missed a turn.
I missed a turn.
I saw it. I was not happy.
Probably saved us time, actually. I was going to say probably added a minute. Probably saved us time. And then, we get there. We go to the little room that you picked, the emerald room, like you just said. So it feels similar to being at home. Yeah. And then we just got cozy.
Yeah, I got cozy. And I labored on the toilet, like backwards.
Kind of back and forth.
Yeah, like it was just
laying over the bed, sideways. On the bed. But on the bed was not very conducive to...
Yeah, well, I find that out later. Like, I didn't realize that it actually slowed things down when it did side lying.
Yeah, but then sitting on the toilet in that position...
It feels so intense. Like, it was just really intense.
Yeah.
But they did some checks, like when we first got there, and they told me I was in active labor, which is always relieving for anyone, because if you're getting contractions and they tell you you're not in active labor, like...
You're like, oh gosh,
it's a little
this only gets worse from here.
Yeah, so...
Pain-wise.
So I knew I think that was already at a 6, so that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And at a birthing center, FYI, you can't get an epidural. Like, that's just not a thing. Mm-hmm. It's another reason why working with a birthing center is great. If you're passionate about that, like, you're just like, you kind of have no option. Labored everywhere, and then we were kind of on my side, and then they did a check, and then they told me that my cervix was swelling a little.
Yeah.
So I seriously started panicking.
Had flashbacks, yeah.
Flashbacks, because I heard the word swole, and they were like, no, it's no big deal. Like, they were so calm about it.
Super calm.
They're like, we're just going to hook his head.
Yeah, I was like, what? She started explaining the technique or whatever. I
wanted to give birth in the tub. So they were like, let's start doing the tub, I guess. So they started filling it up.
You were on the bed at this point.
I was on the bed, yeah.
Yeah.
But the tub was so big that they couldn't fill it up in time. But, like, they were doing the hooking of his head, and it was, like, time for me to push.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, push. And I was like, but I want to push in the tub. And they were like,
yeah, and they said, it's not full. And they said, you're a little further along, right?
No,
didn't they say that?
This is what happened. I looked at you dead in the eyes, and I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Like, didn't think I could do it. But Rachel, midwife. So midwife Rachel said, well, I think you're a little further than you think.
Yeah.
So I heard that in the back of my head, like I didn't even know what was going on. But I remembered in the birthing class, they told you that transition is the point where you don't think that you can do it and where you want to give up. And I didn't know this because with Luna, I didn't know where transition was because I had an epidural, so I had no idea. So anyway, from there, they couldn't get the tub filled. I think I started pushing, right? Was it time to push then? I can't remember if they hooked it.
You were so close.
Yeah, so close. So then, boom.
Well, you didn't make it to the tub.
I didn't make it to the tub, so I think it was just
it on the bed.
Yeah. They just hooked his head. I pushed a little bit. They came out, and they were like, all right, push.
There's his head.
And
then push a little more. Boom.
Boom. And he was in my arms. Right, I couldn't even believe it.
Yeah, it happened so fast.
Couldn't even believe it. And I love that I actually could feel the pushing, but like I literally did not. Like, compared to Aluna's birth, it was just so incredible because I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I can't believe I did that. I remember I saying that. Oh my God.
I can't believe that. Yeah, I can remember that for sure.
So honestly, it was such an easier experience to latch afterwards, easier recovery. Like, I literally hopped out of bed and went to the bathroom, and all the midwives were like, wait.
Yeah,
they even talked about it whenever I was pregnant with Makoa.
Yeah. And then it was like we got to the birthing center at like 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah. And we got back home at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Yeah.
I remember texting my friends like, it's 8 o'clock, we're already home.
Yeah, it was like a 6 or 7 hour situation. We were already back home. In your own bed.
Yeah, in my own bed. The only thing I didn't like about the birthing center was getting in the car on the way there and on the way back. Like, everything else was such an incredible experience.
Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the only complaint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, literally the only thing. And as we were driving away, Anissa, the midwife, said, okay, maybe next time you'll do it at home. And I was like, sure.
Yeah, right.
But
we did.
That's what I did.
Or we did. Yeah.
You did too.
I mean, not really.
Well,
I was here.
Makoa, very similar, like early contractions. I didn't even do any interventions or anything. That morning, I was like, my friends, like, I didn't do a sweep or anything, and I told myself that I didn't want to do a sweep this time.
Yep.
Third baby, from what I've heard, could either go way quicker
or be
like
the first one.
Yeah, like the first one.
So
situation. It's kind of like hit or miss.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know, and I think I told my midwives that my biggest fear was that I would be too fast, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't
What if you guys can't get here?
Yeah, or like whatever. So
But then your girlfriends came over to help you
that morning.
nest.
Yeah, I was doing everything. Like it was, it was New Year's. It was New Year's Eve. That was it was New Year's. The day before New Year's Eve, the 30th.
Yeah, December 30th.
Yeah, so they were just helping me clean up, and then my friend Sopa was like, "I bet now that we're cleaning this all up, your baby's gonna come." And I was like, "I don't know, we'll see."
She did say that.
But it was 10 days early still. It was still like 10 days till he was due.
Yep.
So yeah, that night that day I started getting kind of cramping, but I thought I was constipated because I wasn't really eating that much. I was just kind of moving around all day, so I thought I was constipated. So I texted my midwife, just told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm getting cramping, but I think I just need to eat some fiber." So I literally took a fiber supplement. Yeah. But then after that, in the evening, same time around OSA's is when I started getting consistent contractions. Yeah. We started watching Seinfeld. As usual, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go to bed, because I told my midwife, I'm just gonna sleep, I'll let you know if I'm you know, whatever. But both kids came into bed at 11:30 p.m., which they never come that early. Like it's usually 3 or 4 a.m. Yeah. But both of them came in the bed around 11:30. Kind of annoyed at first.
Whenever you woke up, you were.
I was like, damn it.
It had progressed.
Yeah, because I was like, well, if they're here, like, what are we gonna do? Like, this is kind of a lot. So I went to the bathroom and I had a bloody show. Yeah. Kind of like a mucus plug with a Luna. So I was like, okay, I think it's...
You were like, oh, can you text...
Yeah, I was like, can you text Anissa? Yeah, but I also had doubts. I was like, I don't know if these are real contractions, because it felt so like...
Not as intense.
Not nearly as intense. Same with OSA's. I was kind of like, are these contractions? Are they not? Yeah. Because back labor is really intense.
So I texted Anissa just to give her a heads up.
And our doula. And the doula.
Just to give them a heads up. Because they're both like, 30, 45 minutes away. Yeah. So we just had to...
But Anissa was like, no, we're going to start packing, because it sounds like it. Because I was tracking, I was timing them. Because they felt so chill. I was just talking to you in between.
Well, also, since you had used Anissa for OSA... Yeah. She knew that you probably had a high pain tolerance.
Yeah, so she was like, maybe.
So, maybe if she's saying, it's kind of intense, maybe kind of intense.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Just because that's the good thing about using the same crew.
Yeah, they knew me already.
They know you, like, it's so familiar. And they just understand your vision and your goal, because you've been there for 2 kids now. Yeah. So, and how you want to do it. So. Yeah.
Well, something that was really beautiful, I'll just insert in here, is that we decided to keep the third gender a surprise to us. Yeah. And Aluna, when I started getting my contractions after we knew the doula and midwives were coming, said, "Hey, are you ready to meet your baby brother or sister?" And she said, "Yeah, my brother," which was crazy because all throughout my whole pregnancy, she kept saying it was a girl. Yeah. And so
I want a sister. I already have a brother. I want a sister. I want a sister.
It's gonna be a girl. It's gonna be a girl. Yeah. And then just that night, she was like, "No, it's a boy." And she was so nonchalant about it, just like so like that's it. Yeah. And we're like, okay. Yeah, so that was kind of beautiful. And
then since you were already kind of progressing and you were standing up by this point, like doing some of your hip rocks or like whatever, Aluna knew that something was happening or like something was going on. So she obviously could not go back to sleep.
She's literally doing cartwheels.
Cartwheels on the bed while Osa's asleep right next to her. Because I feel like Osa fell asleep for a while, for like 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours. And then Aluna didn't go to sleep until bedtime the next. Yeah, so basically 11:30 p.m. to like 7:30 p.m. the next day.
No, they took a quick little nap, I thought, in the morning, no?
Like, I mean, a 20-minute, 30-minute. Yeah, not really. She was pretty much awake the whole time.
So, yeah, she was just, I mean, I was like she was holding on to me when I was going through contractions. Mm-hmm. But again, I was like not sure. I was like, okay, I don't know how far along I am. And the midwives were like, well, do you want us to check? So they checked. And at first, they only checked for the heartbeat. Yeah. And they were checking up pretty high because they were like, okay, we'll see. But then they realized, oh, crap, it's actually pretty low. Yeah. Because I was so chill. So they thought it was not that high, but then they were like, oh, well, maybe we'll do an internal check. And they were like, all right, you're in active labor. I was like pretty far along because I was so chill. Like I was literally having conversations in between each contraction. Yeah. Way different than with OSA.
Way different. Yeah. Probably because like you were at home.
I think it's because I was at home. I just felt so relaxed.
In your own bed. Yeah. Just your own room. Yeah. Like you know everything.
I already knew how long the tub was going to. I filled up the tub multiple times beforehand to see how long it took to fill it up because I didn't know because I knew last time we didn't make it. Yeah. But I was like, why don't you start filling it up just halfway? And then he filled it up like all the way towards the end when I knew it was time for me to go to the tub. My doula was like, yeah, maybe it's time to go to the tub now. So I went in there. The kids were literally splashing me. I feel like you were more worried about the kids than me.
Oh, yeah, because obviously I wanted them to be a part of it and to experience it, but I didn't want them to
I was fine.
become a distraction.
Yeah, but I was totally chill.
I know, but it was just the water. She's in the tub, and it's getting pretty intense. Like, and then the kids are just smacking, playing with the water, so she's getting splashed all over the face.
Oh.
In between contractions, you were totally fine. You could they were splashing you and you were playing with them, but it was just a little much for them to be.
Yeah.
So basically, I just got them out, put them in the playroom. They kind of got occupied.
And the kids were fine. And we also, we forgot to mention.
They were in and out for sure.
We forgot to mention that we were supposed to call your mom, but then I decided to not last minute. I was like, no, it's fine. Yeah. We don't need her. And then she ended up.
She can just show up.
She can show up whenever.
Like afterwards.
But yeah, we ended up deciding to call her about halfway through. So that's why the kids were just doing whatever.
Yeah.
And you were kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
I feel like the midwives were kind of worried, but I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm chill. Yeah. So I was just in the tub, just laboring. And then next thing I know, I had that moment where I didn't feel like I could do it anymore, but I knew that I could
because you had
gone through it. Yep. Awesome. And I remember saying the F word really, really loud, and then after that I said, Lord God, please help me. And then I felt my water break, pushed. I was bearing down for a second. I remember just bearing, but I was I pushed, I felt the head. Yeah. But then after that, all of a sudden, I felt like a calm washed over me, and I just was able to push him out. And then the first thing I felt was his little testicles. And then I knew it was a boy. I said, it's a boy.
Aluna was right.
I know, but it was so cute. Aluna was just watching me the whole time. Yeah. Her eyes were just
Yeah, we have some really beautiful photos.
She was why were you crying? Yeah. But no, it was really beautiful. Yeah. It was really, really beautiful. But yeah.
It was super beautiful, but it was also intense.
Well, Nick, you actually thought that I didn't want to go through it again because it was so intense.
Well, I was just... we have talked about having 4 or 5 kids or whatever, and even though it was at home and it was such a smooth experience, it was still an intense experience for you. So I just afterwards I was I know we've talked about having 4 or 5 kids, but after number 3, if you want to be done here, I guess I'm cool.
I remember looking at it, I'm like, you're crazy. I was fine.
And this is literally 15 minutes. He's already on the boob. He attached super fast.
The midwives are checking me. They're doing all the things.
Yep. Yeah. Basically, you just had to go pee before they left, and then they could pretty much get out of there at that point. It was
incredible. I literally just crawled into my bed, which was 2 feet away.
It was so fast.
Yeah.
Everything happened so fast.
But yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And the midwifery care is so awesome because they just came to the house right after.
Yeah.
Or the day after, and then at our other appointments, and he didn't need to do a checkup until his 2 month. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But we're gonna do it again at home for sure. I don't think I would
make the decision, but I figured. Yeah.
No, I'd love to do it at home again.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no other things that I would change, really.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because you didn't have to get in the car this time. That was the only thing about the other place.
But yeah, what do you think your favorite thing was about his birth?
Makoa?
Yeah.
Probably just the kids getting to.
Me too.
Experience it.
Yeah, me too. Aluna
Even though they were for sure a lot of energy.
Next time we'll call your mom earlier. That would be the only thing we do different.
Okay.
Next time we'll call his mom earlier.
Yes, just so they can still be because I didn't want to take.
Yeah, because I
didn't want to leave whenever it would get intense.
Yeah.
If you wanted to squeeze my hand or.
I had a comb the whole time, which was my best friend.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to be messing with the kids while you needed me there. So that was the only stressful part for me was I guess trying to navigate all right, I can probably come in here for 2 or 3 minutes, but then there's another contraction and then I hear you screaming and I'm running back to the bathroom. Hold on, Oso. Running back to the bathroom here for this 10 seconds and then run back to
I love the photographer caught a cute picture of you and the kids just sitting there reading a book in the bedroom. At some point. That was really sweet.
But yeah, as soon as my parents got here and the kids, they could occupy the kids, it was super smooth. Obviously Co was already here at that point, but it was super smooth. Such a great experience, and hopefully, the good Lord blesses us with another opportunity, but another experience that's very similar to that one,
I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part too, is the kids being part of it. Yeah. Yay. Well, I hope you enjoyed our story. You gotta follow along because you never know whenever the next one will be. Hopefully soon. Not that soon. My midwife says 6 months minimum to let the body heal. So simmer down now.
Cool boy.
Good.